Happy Halloween, everyone. All right, I want to talk about some tips and tricks to make tummy time easier. And I have a confession to make. As a pediatric PT, I have always been all about tummy time and recommending to the parents that they need 60 cumulative minutes of time on the tummy to counteract back to sleep so that they don't get a flat spot on their head and so that they can strengthen all the important muscles that they need for development. Well, now that I'm a new mom, I realize how hard that is to do. That being said, so I apologize for people that maybe I didn't make this clear when I was giving you tips for your kids. But it is cumulative minutes. It can be in small bouts. It is not an overwhelming amount. And I have always tried to be careful about giving families ideas how they can fit it in. But now that I'm living it, I see it even more. So between the fact that at this age they, basically are eating every 2 to 3 hours and basically sleeping when they're not eating, and if you have one like my little guy, he spits up a lot. So the minute I try to lay him down or do anything, he spits up all over himself and whatever surface we're on. So I've definitely had to get creative. My first tip is start as soon as possible. Start on day one. If you're listening to this after day one, then start now. Make it small increments. The sooner you start at getting your baby used to being on their belly, the easier it becomes for them in the long run, and they learn how to tolerate it. I'll share a picture of my little one pretty early on his belly, and it doesn't look like the pictures you see later of kids doing tummy time. Their knees are scrunched under them, their butt is in the air, their head is down, but they're getting used to that position. And as they start to move, their body and their extensors, the muscles on the back of their neck and back, are learning how to work against gravity. So I guess that was 2 tips in one. Start early. It's not too late to start, and then do it in short increments. Next is, especially when you're starting early, having them on your chest counts. I'm going to try to demonstrate with my little one. He's 5 weeks old right now, and so we've been doing this for the last 5 weeks. I'm also shooting this myself and trying to maneuver him, so there may be some crying, there may be some awkwardness, there may be some stopping of the camera. We'll see what happens. It'll be an adventure. All right, let's do this. He looks very excited. So one of the ways you can do tummy time is having them lie on your chest. I'm in a reclined glider. You could do it in a couch propped up on pillows, but this counts as tummy time. They are off the back of their head. You could be doing skin-to-skin contact with this. He's scrunched up on me, but I could try to turn his head. So if he already had a preference, I could have him make sure that he's turning his head in both directions. Depending on how active he's feeling, he will pick his head up and turn it himself in this position. So yeah, this is a great way. And it's just like we're sitting here rocking, and he's calm. It's not always the case, especially at night during the witching hour. Even this does not calm him. Oh, looks like we've not sure what we've got on our face there. But yeah, okay, see, you can see him trying to start to lift his head. He is working his extensor muscles doing that. There you go. Look. Wow, we planned that, I swear, totally. Another way that you can practice tummy time that's very similar to this. Oh, sorry. And the further reclined I am, the more he has to work. So early on, I'm going to be pretty upright. As it gets better, I may move over to the couch and lay flatter. So you can judge. You can see where it's easiest for them. You want to give them success. And in a position like this, they're going to be willing to hang out a little bit longer than they will just flat on the ground. All right, another way to do it is carrying them on your shoulder. So again, I can walk around like this. Now, depending on how little your little one is, I obviously only have one hand because I'm using the camera. but you might need to give a little bit more support up higher on the back. Let's try to, so, but even from here, you can see he's trying to lift up. Now this is a lot easier for him. Again, he has a little bit of control, so I'm not, and I can tell what he's about to do, but you do have to be careful of if they lift up too quickly that they go back. So you do want to have the other hand ready a little bit. Again, I'm using a camera, so I've got one hand available. But this is another great way to get them off their back. They're not putting pressure on their head. They're working their extensors. They're getting used to working against gravity. All right, another trick is the football hold. So let's see if I can, I'm gonna set this down for a second so maybe we can get a better view of what I'm doing. I've got my arm under him and my hand at his leg, kind of between his two legs, wrapping around the outside one. His head is supported on my arm. He is, again, can work against gravity if he wants. He is off the back of his head. He is using his muscles, and we can walk around so can be soothed even though he's spending time on his tummy. The other thing for all of these positions that I'm mentioning is you want to be careful, like when he's on your shoulder, make sure you're doing both sides evenly. If you're spending more time on one side of the chest than the other, or right in the middle is fine, but you want to make sure that you're doing both sides. So even with this, make sure you're switching arms. We all have a stronger arm. We have to work hard to make sure we use our non-dominant arm or less preferred arm. All right, another trick is to use a pillow of some sort. I have a boppy, so we're gonna try that. I don't use this a ton with him, so I have actually no idea what this is going to look like, but we're gonna try it. So you put kind of the chest on the boppy. I'm gonna pick this up so you can kind of see. And his legs and stuff are in the center, but he is elevated. And this way, again, he gets a little bit of assist from gravity, so he can start to lift up. There you go. Look at this. I swear we didn't rehearse any of this. Again, it makes it a little bit easier for him to try to do this stuff. If you don't have a boppy, which you don't need one, you can use a regular pillow. So let's see here. I took one of my couch pillows and covered it with a blanket because he spits up a lot. Let's see. Can we get... So again, you can see where he is a little bit elevated. You can use toys. He still doesn't seem to be that interested in turning towards sound and those things. But I use it. I will use, if you notice, I do it without even thinking. I kind of do a little bit of rubbing the back. Basically, I'm activating the muscles, or, jiggling a little bit. All of that can help kind of turn the muscles on or encourage him to lift up. But again, all of these are great options to rotate through, spend a few seconds in, well, spend as long as they're tolerating it, and they'll slowly build up their tolerance. Okay, if you are gonna do flat on the ground, which again is fine, and this is how we have actually just done a lot of our tummy time, other than maybe being on the chest or things like that. If you need to give them a little bit of assist, you can put your hand on their bum or low back, and it kind of helps stabilize them. So let's try this. So they kind of have some stability that they can kind of push up off of. They don't have to control their lower half. If you saw my head control video last week where I talked about limiting the degrees of freedom, that's a little bit what we're doing here. And this can work for all of the other positions I've talked about as well. So there we go. Good job. Good job. And if they don't need that, you don't have to do it. You could just do flat on the floor. I don't know a good way that I can do this, but another great way, let's see, I'm gonna slide him back some. Another great thing you can do that I recommend is get down on their level. They love looking at your face. Hi, baby. Yeah. Hi. Hi. Yeah. So it's a little hard while I'm talking to you to be eye to eye with him. But again, the more you can get on their level and engage them, it'll help as well. And you can hear he's getting a little fussy now, but you can't quite see his legs. Let's see, I'll slide him up some. He's working. Now, I'm not gonna let him get to the point where he's escalating, but I'm okay with him being upset a little bit. Each parent's gonna have their own tolerance, but through some of that frustration is where he starts to learn to work and gain the skill. So I do allow a little bit of frustration, and then I'll do some soothing. And so we might not stay in this position for as long. My next trick involves the ball, so I gotta go get that and I'll be back. Okay, just kidding. Before I go to the ball, I forgot to mention these two other options. So this is a blanket, but you can use a towel roll or a blanket roll as well when we talked about the pillow or the boppy. Again, these aren't tricks that I use as much, but just kind of putting it under his chest elevates him a little bit, and you can see him starting to lift his head some, and then he rests it down. Again, use the trick of the hand on the bum or the low back up, and we just spit up, because that's what we do a lot of. Let's see. Hold on 1 second, let's try to save the blanket so it's one less thing I have to do laundry for later. Fold that blanket over. I also have a bunch of these like random little pillowy type things. Works the same as the bigger pillows or the towel roll. Just kind of under the chest. Notice how the arms are. Just kind of helping to elevate the head a little bit. Got some spit up on my hand, no big deal. Oh, he's got it all over his face. Sorry about that. There you go, buddy. There we go. Sorry. This is common occurrence. We spit up. We went through 5 onesies in about 5 minutes the other day. So fun times, lots of laundry. Anyway, so forgot to add those. Now, the ball. I do have it here with me, so I don't have to get up and go get it again. Let's see, but I think I'm gonna have to change the angle. Yeah, oh, maybe not. Okay, let's see, let's turn sideways here. So, I like to get on the ball, on his belly. This, let's see if I can turn this side. There we go. So this is almost the same as being flat on the ground. I want to make it easier, so like we did with the pillow, I'm going to bring him back some. Notice the head came right up. I am also, like the same trick of using my hand, I'm just using my body to stabilize his lower side. So then I could use my hands. I could start propping him up on his elbows a little bit, so get him to start to figure out how to use those arms even more. Look at that, the head is up nicely. I'm giving a little bit of support. You can see not too much at the arms, but I'm back, I'm supporting his bum. Now, depending on how he's doing, I could move it forward. His head went right down. You know, he's still getting the strength. I could do some side to side. He has a tendency to activate his left side more than his right side when he's stretching. These are things I notice as a pediatric PT. So of course I'm always trying to tickle his right side to get those muscles working, but doing something on here like side to side, he has to activate against gravity. So this is activating the left side. As I go over here, he has to activate the right side and this side. Right, oh, you can't see him, but it's harder. He's not wanting to turn it on, where when I come over here, right now he's trying to use his hand, so he's not doing much of anything. But yeah, the ball is one of my best tools that I love to use. It just gives me a lot of options. All right, my other recommendation is baby wearing. So there are so many carriers out there. I was lucky enough to get a ton of hand-me-downs. I've used 2 of them currently. So we've used the Ergo and the Boba. I think I'm saying that correctly. But anyway, again, that has them on your chest. They're off the back of their head. You can be hands-free and doing things around here. They have the ability to get a little bit of movement, but it is also taking the pressure off the back of their head. They're getting to experience gravity in a different way other than just lying flat on their back. So those are some tips and tricks, especially things that I'm figuring out as a new mom and trying to fit it all in so that he's off his back for at least 60 minutes a day, and that I'm not increasing the spit up by getting tons and tons of laundry. So anyway, feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully this was helpful. Have a happy Halloween.